What's going on, guys? Uncle UU, aka UU007, coming at you again with another video, and today we are reviewing the highly awaited and highly anticipated Transformers 1 movie. This movie was directed by Josh Cooley and is featuring a star-studded cast. Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax, aka Optimus Prime, and then we have Brian Tyree Henry as D16, aka Megatron, and we have Scarlett Johansson as the leader one, as well as Keegan Michael Key playing Bumblebee. So a fantastic cast. They all did an amazing job, definitely unique takes of these characters while still capturing the essence of what these characters are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this review. And spoilers ahead, you've been warned. So I caught a late screening for this movie the other day, but I wanted to sit with my thoughts before I actually did this review. Overall, I enjoyed the movie and I highly recommend you guys go see it. It is a hopeful, nostalgic, character-driven story that is full of action, laughter, and tragedy. The characters are well developed and get plenty of time to stand out in their own ways. The standout characters for me being Hemsworth's Orion Pax as well as Henry's D16. These characters, their bond and idealistic conflict are the heart and soul of this movie. They do a fantastic job of not only making these portrayals unique, but also honoring the continuity and the lore of the characters that they will become. They aren't just friends, they were brothers. And as a lifelong Transformers fan, that is the story that I've been wanting to see for so long. Director Josh Cooley delivers, as does the rest of the cast and crew. Speaking of stories, let's get into it. So the movie opens up with a young Orion Pax breaking into a Cybertronian archive or library. Basically, he is looking for information about the matrix of leadership. We have kind of hints that something isn't exactly well with the Transformer Society as is shown. For whatever reason, information relating to the past is kept away from the public and it is illegal to go into the archives. Optimus gets caught and he's on the run, basically trying to get away from some Transformers that can transform. And that's when you get into one of the major plot points, and that's that for some reason lower Cybertronians or miners don't have T-cogs or transformation cogs. They're all gone, and apparently they're born without them, which creates a kind of caste system within the Cybertronian society. So Optimus Prime, very early on, or Orion Pax, is shown to be rebellious, optimistic, and kind of a little bit of a loose cannon. So pretty cool characterization for what would become the stoic and heroic leader that's kind of a by the books type of guy. So that's pretty cool. So while being chased by these bigger, more dangerous Cybertronians, D16 runs into them and basically stops them, and he allows Optimus to escape using the cart that he was pushing. That's where you find out that D16, who will become Megatron, is a miner as well. And you know, you kind of get a nice scene where they're talking and everything. You can really get a sense of how close they are to each other, that they are friends, that you know, Optimus does this type of thing a lot, and more often than not it seems like D16 is the one that has to kind of come in and bail him out. So later on you get introduced to Alita 1, who is the head honcho. She is the boss lady of the mining crew. And again, it's a circumstance of like everybody has their duty, everybody has their sense of this is our job, this is how we contribute to our society, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Again, another Cybertronian that is for whatever reason born without a T-cog. So that's pretty interesting as well. As far as her personality goes, she is funny, quick-witted, definitely competent, extremely competent. You can tell just how everything works, how she runs everything, like I said, very much by the books. Definitely somebody who has natural leadership qualities, and those qualities transfer over pretty well with the job that they all have to do. So something goes wrong. It seems like there's some shenanigans going on, and some stuff goes wrong, and basically Jazz actually, which he makes a pretty cool cameo, Jazz gets caught in the mine, and Optimus Orion, I'm gonna be doing that a lot. Please bear with me. Orion is Optimus, D16 is Megatron. You know, it's going back and forth here, but Orion and D16 goes in to actually save him. And you know, they're able to get him out. But Alita gets in trouble because the mine kind of collapses in on itself and she gets demoted. And you know, that kind of stings a little bit, especially for Optimus, because you know he feels like he kind of messed up, and that it's his fault, and they blame him for it. And like I said, he has a crush on Alita too, so it just stings a little bit more. But D16 sticks by his side. He kind of rubs it in a little bit, but he does stick with him. And basically the next scene that we get into after that is the Iacon race. So there, I guess, is some type of, I guess it's like the Kentucky Derby, if I really want to put, you know, the optics on it, what exactly it looked like to me, or like a NASCAR race more so. And we also get introduced to Sentinel Prime in this scene, and yeah, he is kind of like the Grandmaster off of Thor Ragnarok. So if you guys have seen that movie, you know, those are the type of vibes that, you know, we get. You know, like he's the hero, he's the leader, he's the top dog, he's the last of the primes, and everybody loves him, everybody believes him. Anything that he says is law. So yeah, they reluctantly, I say they, but really it's D16, he reluctantly is dragged into participating in this race, even though they can't transform, by Orion. He basically straps some jetpacks on them, and you know, they enter the race, and they actually do fairly well for the most part. It kind of goes off the rails a little bit at the end. They don't end up winning, but they come very, very close, and it's very inspiring for the other miners. You know, the other miners are watching them, and they're like, "Oh, it's one of us," and you know, it's a very inspirational moment for all of them, which Sentinel actually likes, because once they are called down, they're thinking that they're going to get in trouble, but really Sentinel gives them their praises, and it's just like, "Oh, you guys helped production, you helped inspire all the miners, their production was up like double," you know. So, you know, if you can talk to them and, you know, really get them motivated to continue to do what it is that they're doing, and, you know, just really, you know, give them that boost, you know, that you guys can be so much more. And, you know, it kind of inspires them, and it makes D16 extremely happy, because like he idolizes him, you know. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's pretty cool. Also, you get introduced to Arachnid, or Black Arachnid. She's in that scene as well, and she gives off a little bit more of an ominous presence to her. Very creepy, very spider-like, if that makes sense. So yeah, after that, we get into basically Bumblebee's introduction, or B-127's introduction, because Darkwing, who is a complete and total ass to Orion and D16, basically going against what Sentinel said, puts them like in there's the lower levels of the lowest levels that they didn't even know existed, and they eventually find B-127 down there, and he's been down there for a long time. There's a funny basically a funny scene in reference to Castaway, where, you know, he's been down there for so long that he's made his own friends, and they're all like, he's like, they're alive, but they're not alive, they're dead. And Orion Pax accidentally knocks off one of their heads, and he's like, "No, you killed him." And that's actually what kind of kicks the plot in, ironically enough, because there's a beacon. They're supposed to be getting rid of scrap, and for whatever reason, there's a beacon embedded in the scrap of one of these things heads, and they take it out and everything else like that, and they figure out that it's a SOS from the surface by Alpha Trion. At this point, they team up with B-127 in order to figure out a way to get to the surface. Orion is able to talk D16 into going with him. He was very reluctant. You can tell that he kind of didn't want to go, but you get a sense that just to look out for Orion, he goes anyway. And also because he wants to be able to bring the Matrix of Leadership back to Sentinel Prime and be a hero and be able to be held in high regard and everything, just to show that like we're just to show that they could be more than what it is that they're doing, so they do that, and they're able to actually find a train, ironically enough, that Alita 1 is working on, and they kind of sneak onto the train, but Alita can kind of tell that something's not really on the up and up, so she goes to check it out. They all get trapped on the train that is now heading towards the surface, and Alita is not too happy about that. It's a really cool action scene where they end up on the surface and everything, and they're trying to explain to her what exactly is going on, and she's kind of like, I don't want to hear it. You guys messed up my job before. I shouldn't even be doing this. But she's like, I'm gonna turn you guys in, and I'm going to get my crew back, and get back to where it is, work my way back up to where I was at before. So that's kind of her motivation, is another sense of like, I want to be more than what I'm doing right now, that this is I'm trying to get out of this rat race that we're all been a part of, and I've been following the rules, I've been working hard, I've been doing this for so long, and I've already paid my dues, and I want more at this point. The train goes off the rails. The surface turns out to be a lot more dangerous than what they previously thought that it would be, and they are kind of in a circumstance to where they get caught in the surface just kind of changing, and it derails the train, and they get knocked off, and it's all bad. So reluctantly, once they explain everything, Alita decides, okay, I will help you, I will go with you, and now she's a part of the group. So now we have Orion Pax, D16, B-127, and Alita 1 all embarking on this mission together to figure out what is going on with this beacon, and if they can find the Matrix of Leadership. As time goes on, you figure out that B-127 must have been down there for a really long time, because that dude does not stop talking. I will say that it almost was annoying. It got to the point where it was very close to being annoying, but I think that was the kind of the point of it. But anyway, I digress. We are introduced at this point to the main villains of the story, which is, well, one of the main villains of the story, which is the Quintessons. That they thought that the Quintessons was long gone, that the war was over between the Primes and the Quintessons, but for some reason the Quintessons are still there, and they almost get caught. They come very close to getting caught, but they're able to get away, and they encounter a cave to where basically the beacon was coming from, and they find the final resting place of the original Primes. This scene is sad. It gives a sense of it's dark, I mean, these are their idols, and they're just, you could tell that it really has a huge effect on D16, especially to see Megatronus, who he is he idolizes the most, the strongest, the bravest, the most powerful of the Primes, and he's dead, and he's literally like sitting in front of him, and you can see like the anger in his face. This story and the legacy of the Primes, you could tell, had like that type of effect on D16. So eventually they find Alpha Trion, who is still semi-functional. He's just powered down. So B-127 gives Orion a energon cube in order to give to Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion, then powers up and everything, and he comes back online, and he explains to them, that everything that they knew was basically a lie, that they were ambushed, and that Sentinel Prime is a fraud. So I don't know if y'all seen Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon. Sentinel is evil in this one too. He's a traitor. And one cool thing is that they kind of incorporate a little bit of the design of Bayformers. Even like his double-bladed sword, that's something that they incorporate as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. But basically, yeah, Sentinel was supposed to be helping them ambush the Quintessons, but it turns out that no, the Quintessons was working with Sentinel the whole time, and they ambush him. And yeah, it's kind of a very dark scene at that point, as he's showing how each one of them gets taken out. Sentinel actually goes and yeah, chops off I believe Megatronus, his whole dome piece, chops off his whole dome piece, comes off. Like Gambit said, that dome got to come off with it. He took it off. So yeah, that was, pretty mature visuals. And I loved it. I loved every bit of it. At that point, once that happens, everybody's kind of like stunned and heartbroken, because it's like the matrix of leadership. Sentinel like literally pries it out of Zeta Prime's chest, and of course it disappears because the matrix cannot be found, only earned. And obviously Sentinel Prime, especially after betraying the Primes, is not worthy of the matrix of leadership. That's when we get to the point where we actually see, they show that, yeah, Sentinel is not only working with them, but he is forcing all of the other Cybertronians to mine for this energon in order to give it to the Quintessons. So he is a traitor 100%. Like, it's not even up for discussion or debate. He's an ass. Like, it's really messed up. And once again, the betrayal affects them all in different ways. But again, D16, he's getting pretty pissed. You can see the anger. He's the first one to want to jump in and basically, run the fade with him, because it's like, dude, like, not only did I believe in you, not only did I believe in all of this, but you sold us out and you killed my idol too. Yeah, he's pissed, and rightfully so. And Alpha Trion basically gives Orion something that they'll be able to use to basically expose Sentinel for the fraud that he is. D16 and Orion Pax kind of have a little bit of a conversation, a disagreement actually, where D16 kind of is blaming Orion. He's like, you brought me up here for this, and now I'm figuring out all of this was a lie. And I'm always kind of looking out for, you could tell that he's kind of getting a little bit jaded with all of the he was comfortable and now he's not, and it's becoming a circumstance where like he's kind of getting fed up with all of it, and he's just like, I'm sick of this. Like, and Orion asks him, like, don't you want to expose Sentinel? And he's like, no, I want to off him. I don't want to just expose him. I want him to suffer for what he did. I want him to suffer. And you can kind of see a darkness starting to arise out of D16. And I understand. I get it. I get it. That's a lot, especially a lot to figure out. Keep in mind, Cybertronians live for thousands or even millions of years. So, but however much time, because like I said, these Cybertronians live for millions of years, however much time that they've been mining every day, day in, day out, the same thing, holding on to these dreams and these stories of the primes and everything else like that, just to figure out it's all a lie. I don't think that it was okay to blame Optimus for that, or Orion for that, but I do understand his frustration. So Alpha Trion then gives the group TCOGs, because he also explains to them that you all are born with these, which means that Sentinel took out their TCOGs while they were still offline. So when the Cybertronian was born, he took their cogs from them. That is horrible. Like, that is diabolical work right there. That is nuts. This dude is a villain, tried and true. Like, he is a villain. It is incredibly dark. So yeah, they get T-Cogs back, and you know, their designs kind of change and everything. They get big Optimus, Orion and D16, they get bigger. You know, everybody kind of, you know, starts to look a little bit more like their G1 selves. And they embark on the journey back. We also get a really cool scene with Alpha Trion, him basically buying time for the crew to, you know, get back to Iacon, and they're fighting Sentinel's forces, and then Black Arachnic shows up and kind of takes him out and captures him. But you know, he gets to transform, and you get to see him transform into kind of like this more animalistic beast type alt mode, which I thought was really, really cool. And then he has like telekinesis type powers as well. Really, really, really cool scene. So after that, they're working to basically get away, and eventually they do end up getting captured, but not by Sentinel's crew. They end up getting captured by the High Guard, which is Starscream in them. So we finally get to see Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, a few other Decepticons, or who will become Decepticons. We get to see, I believe I saw Skywarp and Blitzwing in there as well. Really, really cool. They nailed the designs for everybody. Very G1-esque. I don't know if you guys seen my actual like first trailer reaction, but I was talking about how like hopefully we get to hear Soundwave, and he actually sounds like Soundwave. They got it, and they did good, and it sounds fantastic. Shockwave, he has some really funny lines in there as well. So all in all, those introductions to those characters was very, very, very well done, very memorable. They all have different personalities, which is really good, because that's one gripe that I've always had with the Bayformers, is that the Decepticons, those characters, they never give them really good personalities. They never give them character arcs. They're literally just, I'm bad for the sake of bad. And I feel like that's a very terrible way to handle these characters, especially when you have so much lore to go off of. It's not that hard to craft characters and stories for these characters so that they'd be memorable and serve as better opposition for our heroes. So yeah, we get to see Starscream, and Starscream is actually kind of intimidating. Like, he is the leader, he's the leader of the group, and you can tell that like he does have leadership qualities. They're all falling in line, and he says that all that matters is one power's bot over another bot. And that's when Megatron and yeah, well, D16 and Starscream kind of had their little fight. And yeah, it doesn't really end too well for Starscream. Megatron, D16. I'm saying Megatron a little bit more now, because now he's kind of starting to give off Megatron vibes, which is pretty cool to see. But yeah, they get into it, and he kind of like crushes Starscream's voice box, which makes him sound a little bit more like his G1 self, which I always thought was pretty cool and a pretty interesting voice to have in general. So I like that they called back to that. Very unique. And also they show Megatron's arm cannon comes out, and whoa, that scene right there, it was tense. It was tense, because it's all like, yeah, they're cheering because it's a fight, but now it's getting kind of serious, you know, because it's like, oh, he really done brought out the big gun. So Sentinel's forces ends up showing up after, you know, Megatron. I'm just gonna call him Megatron from here on out, because he's giving Megatron vibes. Megatron starts to you know, get into his leadership bag. Like, he's rallying the troops and basically telling them, like, if y'all follow me, we're going to fight, and we're going to bring Sentinel to justice. We're going to make him suffer for what he's done, because that's basically the resistance group, and they've been fighting the Quintessons this entire time on the surface. So he's like, follow me back to Iacon, and we'll, you know what I'm saying, we'll get the justice that we deserve. And that's when Arachnid shows up, and yeah, it doesn't end well. B, he gets captured. D16 Megatron, he gets captured, and Optimus, he gets knocked out, and now it's just him and Alita, and then the rest of the group that was able to make it. So Soundwave, Shockwave, I believe a few other people, even Starscream, I believe, got captured as well. The story now basically leads us to Optimus being able to kind of, in his own way, rally them in order to basically get him on his side to go back to Iacon and to expose Sentinel for what it is that he's done. And they're saying that we'll need an army, and Orion's basically like, I'll take care of that when we get there. And the story then picks up with Sentinel basically having them all round up, and now he's just full on villain mode. Like, he's exposed. He's not even trying to hide that he's a bad guy. I mean, he killed Alpha Trion in a previous scene. Oh man, it was just, it's bad. He's an ass. Like I said, he is an ass, and he has some pretty decent lines too, as far as like a villain goes. It's not too cliched with his lines. It definitely, give him a little personality, so that it's more than just rah rah, I'm bad, rah rah. Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So he has them all round up, and he does something pretty awful to Megatron. Basically, he sees that he has his Megatronus patch on him, and he takes it off, and then he like welds the face, because the face of Megatronus, he welds it onto his chest. So it basically creates like, why does he have it even in the middle of his chest? And yes, because of that. So I thought that was pretty dark as well too, that he basically brands him with it and tortures him with it in front of everybody, but it still doesn't break him. It's kind of badass for Megatron. It definitely is kind of badass for him. So the story then picks up with Optimus going to rally the rest of the miners and explain to them what happened. He comes back, and now you can kind of see he's getting a little bit more, his transformation into Optimus Prime is kind of starting to take place, as far as being a leader, as far as like how much the rest of the Autobots look up to him. He gives a really good speech, and even the delivery, Hemsworth's delivery, starts to channel a little bit more Peter Cullen as he's talking. So I thought that was really good as well. He's more confident. In one of the prior scenes, Alita gives him a little bit of a pep talk. So I feel like that kind of helps him get into his confidence of like, you are a leader and you can lead them. And he definitely, it shines through in this scene. Very emotional, very inspiring. And he's able to get them onto his side. And that leads into basically the final act of the storyline, where everything starts to get resolved and everything is starting to fall into place as to how these characters are becoming, these characters. Megatron versus Sentinel. So they all try to fight him together. And they all kind of have to work together, because Sentinel Prime is pretty formidable. Really, what it ultimately comes down to, though, is Megatron versus Sentinel. And man, that scene, the fight is really well done. And the fight ultimately concludes with obviously Megatron getting the upper hand, and Optimus trying to stop him from killing him, especially in front of everybody, for everybody to see. And he's telling him to like, move, get out of my way, I need to do this. And Optimus is still standing in his way, and eventually Optimus jumps in front of Megatron's blaster, and he's fatally wounded, blown apart. And Megatron goes to grab him because he's about to basically fall. And at this point, he's like, I'm done saving you, and he lets him go. And he betrays Orion. And man, it hits you in the chest, especially, you know, ah man, it hits you in the chest because you can see the hesitation, but then you can also see that like he's too far gone, and he fully transforms into Megatron. And the way that they shoot it, the way that the sequencing is, oh my god, if y'all go see this movie for anything, just to see the sequencing of how they shoot this with him, once he's coming into his own being Megatron, Orion is coming into his own being Optimus. So he's falling into the depths of Cybertron, and Primus takes him in. You know, the energy, the essence of Primus takes him in and transforms him into Optimus Prime by giving him the Matrix of Leadership, and it's beautiful. The imaging is breathtaking. The music, the score is powerful. Oh man, I love that scene. I had my breath taken away. Like I was speechless. So Megatron rips Sentinel Prime in half. Like, it's crazy. Rips him in half, and you know, at this point Optimus confronts Megatron, and that's when it's kind of like the transition is complete, because now it's a circumstance where, you know, like I said, Megatron idealized the Primes more so than what Optimus did, and he's like, they chose you. And now it's just like you can see the hatred, and at that point they fight, and you know, the fight, oh man, the action was already really well, but this sequence is like one long take of Optimus basically fighting all of the Decepticons at this point. And yeah, he has his Energon axe, and oh guys, I mean, I don't want to explain every detail of the action scenes, but like, y'all, especially when he's like, energy is coming off of it, and he's using the axe as like a projectile too. It's just all good. He shoots fire out of his arms. You guys probably saw that out of for the trailer, but yeah, he's doing everything that he can. But I like that they make it so that, because typically in G1, Optimus more often than not was stronger than Megatron was. Like, Megatron was pretty strong, but he would usually have to do something conniving, or he would have to kind of scheme his way into winning. Even in the original movie, Optimus overpowered him, and then, you know, the reason how Optimus ends up being fatally wounded is because he had to do some cheating shit and basically use Hot Rod as a human shield, or a Autobot shield, as opposed to just running the hands with him straight up. So in this, they really show how formidable Optimus is, and why it's a circumstance of, like, you know, with him on their side, more often than not, if Optimus is there, the Decepticons really can't do too much. Optimus cuts Megatron's cannon off, and he tells him, like, you know, you're banished, basically. He just tells him to leave. He doesn't, you know, beat him or anything else like that. And, you know, you get the classic, it's not over, and it's nowhere near close. And from there, we get to see Optimus really come into his own as leader. He names Alita commander. So she is, you know, commander of the Autobots, while Optimus is the leader. And then we also, you know, he says that he needs B at his side, and B has some really funny moments, especially once he starts to get his weapons and he's figuring out his weapons. I'm not going to spoil it, but some of the funniest moments in the entire series, and some of the funniest moments in the entire thing is Bumblebee figuring out his weapons, especially his knife hands. Hilarious. So at that point, they basically tease a sequel where Optimus is going to be going up against the Quintessons, and they also tease, of course, Megatron creating the Decepticons. So that is pretty much it as far as the plot of the movie. To to give some final thoughts on it and just, to bring it all together, this movie is everything that the Transformers franchise needed. It's gonna sell toys. It's a breath of fresh air. Everything that the Transformers franchise and legacy needed, this movie delivered on. We have new actors that can carry on the legacy, because I don't think that Peter Cullen is done, but he is getting older. So it is nice to know that we can have other iterations of Optimus Prime that still, I don't feel like Chris Hemsworth, I don't feel like his portrayal was as good as Cullen's. But he's had decades of doing it as well. I feel like it wasn't nowhere near, am I saying that it's bad, but I definitely see it getting better in time, and that's good because these stories have been a part of our lives growing up for so long. And as the original voice actors do get older, it is nice to know that we do have some fresh blood that can still continue the legacy of these characters in a fundamental way, while also honoring the legacy of the people that has made these stories staples in our lives, in our childhoods, and such positive moments, created such positive moments in our lives and in our childhoods. So yeah, definitely gonna get a sequel, that's without a doubt. And this movie has been getting a ton of praise, so it's definitely gonna get a sequel. Hopefully it gets a trilogy. I would love to see the next movie diving into basically them going up against the Quintessons, maybe even a reluctant alliance with, Megatron and the Decepticons, and then hopefully that third movie is just Autobots versus Decepticons, the fall of Cybertron, maybe even getting like a storyline involving the Allspark and everything else like that. I would love to see that. As far as the rating go, I would give this movie a 9 out of 10. It was that good, in my opinion. There's not too much things that I could say that I had issues with. The only thing that I could say that was a problem for me a little bit was, like I said, Bumblebee was just a little bit too annoying at times, but it worked because I think he was supposed to be that annoying. And then I would have liked to see the D16 to Megatron turn not be so jarring. It was a little bit jarring in a specific spot. I feel like if we would have got more scenes of like D16 and Orion bumping heads with each other, maybe like 1 or 2 extra scenes early on of like them actually bumping heads, then I feel like it would have been perfect. So outside of that, that's really all I can say was a gripe of mine, and maybe I would have liked to see more Megatron versus Optimus. The scene was a little bit fast for my pace. I really, maybe I'm spoiled by the 80s movie, but I really want to just see a long dragged out fight between these two where nobody interferes, no nothing. Like, I really just want to see Optimus versus Megatron on some final battle stuff. But obviously this wasn't the final battle, this is the first one, so I won't give too much gripe about that. But yeah, all in all, guys, go see the movie. It is excellent. And if you're a Transformers fan, you're gonna love it. If you're not a Transformers fan, it's such a well-made movie that you can take your kids to see it. You can take your wife. I did a date night to go see it, and my girlfriend, she loved it. And she's nowhere near as close of a Transformers fan as I am. So if she'd enjoyed it and was, giddy and laughing and everything else like that, then you guys are going to love it. But if you enjoyed this review, hit a like, feel free to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any more of my videos. This has been Uncle UU, aka UU007, aka UU, coming at you again with another video. You guys take care, and remember, laugh often, lift heavy, love hard. Peace.